So Uber is great, man. Who doesn't love Uber? You go out, you get drunk, open the app, you get home safe. It's fantastic. The greatest thing since Netflix in recent history. And it's nice to see Hollywood take notice of that and making a movie about Uber, more or less. I just wish they would have made a good movie about Uber. And with that, I'm welcome you to another episode of The Romancer. My goal, as always, is to enhance your movie watching experience. So Stuber, the newest action comedy starring Dave Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani. If I'm saying that right, of course, Nanjiani we know from The Big Sick a couple years back, one of my favorite movies that year, who he co-wrote and starred in that film. He's also from Silicon Valley and HBO. Of course, Dave Bautista, former wrestler who struck it big in Guardians of the Galaxy, has great comedic timing. So it's interesting to see these two guys being put in the same movie together and see how the chemistry goes and how, if they can make comedy gold here. And we have here Dave Bautista, who plays this kind of hard-nosed cop. He's going after, one of the major drug dealers who killed his partner a few months prior when the movie started. And he's gung-ho about it, but he's getting a little bit older. He's getting a little bit frustrated. His eyesight isn't what it used to be, so he has to get LASIK surgery. So obviously he can't move around on his own. He can barely see, he can't drive. So he ends up getting a couple of tips of where to find this major drug dealer who has a big deal going down. He ends up calling Uber. Of course, Kumail's character comes into play, who's the Uber driver, whose name is Stu, hence Stuber. Yeah, very clever. And he pretty much forces Stu to kind of drive him around from place to place so they can finally track down the villain. Now, I saw the trailer recently, and it was actually pretty funny. But of course, my concern with most comedies, the best parts are in the trailer. And in this case, that's exactly what occurred for the most part here. Now, I'll say overall, this movie it's okay. It's fine. I was a little underwhelmed, wasn't impressed, and I didn't hate the movie. It's not terrible. It does have some merit here, some good things and bad things. But unfortunately, in an action comedy, it's light on the action. It's not really well done, and the comedy is just mediocre. Now, there are, of course, things that I did like about this movie, particularly in both Nanjiani and Bautista together. They had pretty good chemistry. They got along and had this kind of adversarial thing back and forth. You obviously have the sensitive nature of one and this kind of rough exterior of the other, and they're one's trying to toughen him up, the other guy's trying to get the emotion out of him. And that works pretty well for the most part. And there are some funny things about this movie. I was chuckling sometimes. I had one or two belly laughs. There were very long lapses in between. Not all the jokes hit for me personally. I thought they could have really done better with the comedy. But what really worked in terms of the comedy is a lot of things associated with Uber. We all use it. It was very relevant to our times. Obviously, there's a lot of jokes in relation to a lot of gags, running gags with the whole Uber thing. That really worked. A couple of things, some of the jokes, again, although they didn't all hit, there were some that were funny here and there, but just not enough of it, which is kind of unfortunate because the chemistry is there. I wish they would have given a better script to take advantage of each of those talents, each of the comedic timing. And like I said, the action was kind of a letdown here. It's more of a comedy than an action movie, but there is action here. At the end of the day, there's a cop, Bautista is a cop tracking down a drug dealer. There's going to be some action in there. And it's what I like, which I was unaware of, is Iko Uwais, who from the Raid series plays the villain. And he's completely underutilized. He shows up pretty much twice in the movie, beginning and in the end. And both scenes are kind of wasted because he's so talented. He's a great action individual here. And, the action scenes that he was in, a couple of the fight scenes that he has with Bautista, they're poorly shot. Shaky cam, quick edits, you can't really see what's going on, and he deserves better than that. And the ending sequence was kind of the same. Out of the action, just didn't have any punch, and for the most part, really wasn't shot very well. And of course, like a lot of these movies, some things do get ridiculous, which is fine. I don't mind ridiculous situations or, suspend disbelief, and that's great. But I'm more forgiving of that when a comedy is more humorous than what we got. And I'll give an example. We have Bautista who can barely see and all that, and he's actually shooting guys in the head. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess I buy it. And a lot of things that just kind of irked me throughout the film. And ultimately just kind of bringing it down to a level where I honestly can't recommend you guys go watch it in the theaters. It's worthy of a watch at home, Netflix, Amazon, rent it, whatever the case is, spend only $4 or $5 as opposed to a $20 ticket. Because ultimately, again, it's not a terror movie. It's just not one that I can say run out and go watch it. This movie gets released in the middle of July. I'm sure there's a lot of other things to watch during the summertime than this, which is a disappointment because, again, I like both Bautista and Nanjiani in this. The concept is great. I love the idea behind it. Get a little different twist to this kind of buddy cop kind of a movie. But unfortunately, it falls flat in both areas for the most part. A few laughs here and there, mildly entertaining, but that's at its best. So, Stuber, you guys gonna watch it? Let me know, comment below, let me know what you guys thought. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.